How does your portfolio reflect best practice perspectives on professionalism in the CLD setting?
Well, um, gathered artifacts, just things that I've been using in class for the last year and a half or so. The evidence of the artifacts is really just collaboration with the cohort in TESOL and then with my PLC and then just things that I've put together. And so some of them are failed activities that I did include one of those in my portfolio,
Mhm,
um, but most of them are tweaked and um, well, essentially best practices because they ended up working and got some data out of them that students were learning and progressing and they enjoyed. So,
mhm,
but really the professionalism piece of it was using what I got out of the courses and working with other teachers and people that kind of had some experience in it.
mhm. Okay. Um, so what are the common threads of your portfolio and are they clear?
I hope they're clear. I feel like they are in my head, but uh, it's all an underlying theme that we're looking at kind of modernized strategies combined with, I would maybe say older strategies, but yeah, it's using everything possible and not having a closed mind to what you could use to help students learn and engage them in the classroom, essentially. So yeah.
Hmm. All right. How has the identification of common threads and or a theme in your portfolio prompted personal or professional growth?
I feel like for the last year, I've been kind of dancing around the same thing about trying to do things that really tie to students' biographies and engage them and tie in culture. And culture is so important with U.S. history and understanding other people's perspectives. And so actually compiling all this into a portfolio led to the realization that I've had this theme really for a long time. Um, but I don't know, put it together uh,
Hmm.
during this process of I don't know, that everything's a process and it's all intertwined together and you can't have one piece without hitting all the others. You got the building students' biographies and the pre-assessment process that leads to instruction and then
Hmm.
assessment, authentic assessment from there and then reflection is just a consistent process.
All right. In what specific ways does your portfolio reach into the student experience?
Well, it's I tried to do it all from perspective. And so Um, going back to some of the actual activities I did, looking at the perspectives of people in history and trying to understand why people do what they do, really leads you to try to understand why students do what they do and their perspective and experiences coming into the classroom. And so, just taking how we teach history and applying it to our students and
Hmm.
taking into account all of the, I don't know, daily experiences and skills and
Hmm.
barriers that they bring into the classroom really um, helps you get a glimpse of how you can impact their day to day, their comfortability in the classroom, their learning process.
All right. How have the questions you asked yourself about common threads in your portfolio changed over time?
Well, in my portfolio, I talked about the reflection wheel and how at first I thought it was kind of the like discussion posts in other classes where they're just kind of checking to see if you read the material. There's not a lot of feedback, and so why are we doing the reflection things? But the reflections became pretty useful, not just the ones that we were kind of assigned, but just that idea of um, analyzing why I did what I did and how it worked, and specifically for each of the classes that I have. Uh,
Hmm.
and so really the If you're looking at a common thread of the portfolio over time, it's the how to use the strategies and how to put it all together effectively, um,
Hmm.
com- tying each piece together, I guess.
Okay. What challenges in portfolio development have enhanced your personal or professional growth?
Time management. No, that's a big one. No, but I don't know, just the constant reflection, looking back on all the things I've done over the last year and trying to, I don't know, continue to find a better way to do it, to make sure that and realize that maybe it worked this time, but I might have to tweak it next time and just finding ways to really understand where students are and where they're coming from. And,
Hmm.
really it really exposed my deficiencies in identifying and helping support language acquisition.
Hmm.
One of the things I talked about was I'm pretty much monolingual and don't have a lot of experience in ELL. And so this class and other um, collaboration with teachers is the only support that I've had as far as how to go day to day with ELL students. Um, and so it made me a little curious of how I can go about finding other ways to help or how I could push the school or the district to maybe change some policies that they have.
Hmm. Okay. Um, so what questions of interest has the portfolio development process raised?
Just kind of the personal ones, just like I was talking about, just how can I progress from here and continue to find more strategies, tweak the ones that I have, use kind of the background knowledge and skills that I have to from my own classroom to help kids. But really the on a bigger level,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see more support from the school and professional development and support for teachers. Um, just questions about using native languages in class to help them with, when you're looking at the importance of their proficiency level in their native language and how impactful that is towards the second languages and everything else. But how I can use maybe position and leadership team or the um, maybe some of the involvement with district initiatives that I'm involved in to start bringing up that conversation a little bit more because I feel
Hmm.
like the district is severely lacking with actual supports and knowledge at the teacher level of ELL and SPED processes, and it's I don't know,
Hmm.
it can get better.
Yeah. What important items or pieces of the puzzle are missing from your portfolio, and how will you address these in the future?
Ooh, let's see. So, um, I would like to work more on maybe I don't know, maybe assessments, and then using assessment data effectively. I feel like I touched a lot on informal assessments and kind of quiz checkpoint type things and getting creative and tying it to students. But how do I take a district level assessment that isn't very good that I have to give and get something useful out of it,
Hmm.
and make it meaningful to the students, I guess
Yeah.
that would be one.
Okay. So that was the end of the round one questions. And for round two, it says I'm supposed to ask you 3 to 4 questions. Um, so you had actually already mentioned um just the sometimes lack of information, the gen ed teachers know with regards to special education. What would you what would you want to see? Like, are you wanting like a professional development day like we have on Wednesdays where one of the sped teacher goes up and kind of gives you guys a rundown or
I think it's a complicated thing. I think that the SPED department has a lot on their plate, and
Mhm.
is it's a big department, but it seems spread pretty thin. And so maybe I don't know if it's even possible at a school level, but having more sped presence in classes that are not math and English. I know it's
Mhm.
you don't have inclusion in social studies and stuff, but um, just I don't know. I think we were getting better this year about um, having the information available. I think it's more making sure that admins support teachers following through on what they're supposed to be doing, improving lines of communication, um,
Mhm.
just basic organization communication stuff. I mean, a Wednesday PD wouldn't hurt. Um, the problem is getting this
Mhm.
up to
Engage.
engage. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then so this is actually a question I had written that I wanted to ask answer for my portfolio was how do you differentiate instruction for students with varying abilities, particularly in reading comprehension and fluency? Because you're a US history teacher, right? Or just social studies in general. There's a lot of reading involved usually.
Yeah. And so there's a ton of reading, and in my portfolio, I mentioned there's a ton of content we have to get through
Hmm.
hundreds of years with multiple thematic impacts of economics and national identity and culture and politics and power and all kinds of stuff that they have to understand all at once. And so how do you pick what the most important pieces of vocabulary? And really for me,
Yeah.
the stuff establishing vocabulary is important,
Hmm.
but differentiation, um, I don't know. It starts with the student biographies and getting to know kids and kind of where they're at and what they bring into the classroom. And then all of everything's an assessment as you go through.
Hmm.
It's really kind of hard to break up people in high school US history into small groups or differentiate. It's possible. It just takes a lot of work on the teacher's part. And so I guess that would be another place of differentiation is always really hard to make it effective.
Yeah. To essentially
But
have three different lesson plans in one.
yeah, exactly. But I just try to utilize all of the resources I have, and a lot of them honestly are kind of modern online things that engage the kids that already have the built-in remediation and
Hmm.
sometimes lexile levels of articles and stuff. And so you can break it up like that and send it out in groups and
Hmm.
um, just mainly leveled stuff that they work on independently. And
Hmm.
then if we get to it, then we can do small group breakouts on maybe working together on something or a higher level leading maybe a language
Hmm.
learner. But that takes a while to get to, it seems like. But yeah.
Okay. And then last question, and this kind of sums up everything, I think. What future goals do you have for your professional practice, and how does this portfolio reflect your aspirations as an educator?
I want to continue that building the educational process that I have started to tweak is implementing the reflections about all the units and activities that we do, and then tying in student um, biographies, um, getting students engaged and interested in history is always
Hmm.
a continual thing, but I think you can do that by knowing them a little bit, knowing what's important, knowing what they want to do eventually with their lives if they do, um, to get them engaged. And once they're engaged and once they know that you know them, then hopefully that leads to deeper conversations, more buy-in. And so figuring out how to just continually improve all the things that we've talked about at
Hmm.
each level. And then the other piece is kind of like I talked about is advocate for better communication, better understanding of policies,